We're doing an auction, a live auction, ladies and gentlemen. And even if you're not bidding on anything, it's so worth it to watch the amazing pipes of Joe Bodnar. Give it up for Joe.
Welcome to Bodnar's Bids and Banter. I'm your host, Joe Bodnar, and with me today, my lovely wife,
Maureen
Bodnar.
We do this every time.
I know, but I like to do this, Maureen Bodnar. And we have the wonderful Dan the Man. That's what I call you. But you can introduce yourself. Oh, good.
Some entrance.
You are in my cell phone as Dan the Man, actually.
Danny Gonzalez. Nice to be back.
And
Tracy.
Tracy.
How come you don't make Tracy say her last name?
I don't even know what it is. What is it? I know I signed the checks. I don't know what your last name is either. You're Dan the Man and you're Tracy.
Williams.
Don't think of it as a bad thing. I didn't know anybody's name in my whole life. What are you talking about?
He makes me introduce myself because he doesn't remember my name.
What is your last name? I have to think about this. Wait, what?
What was my last name before you?
Yeah.
What's my last name?
And behind the mic, or behind the thing, we have Christian.
Cordes.
Is it Cordes? I don't know. Thank you. Christian Cordes. It's Cordes.
I didn't know.
It's Costa. It was Costa.
That was my second name.
Yes, and then it was Schwarbeck. No, it wasn't Schwarbeck. No. What? Shit. I don't know. I'd lose. You have no idea. See, I'm bad with names.
Are you ready? Quick. When was my birthday? 3 seconds.
Oh, fuck. April 21st. Am I right? April 21st? Thank God. You know how many times I used to get that wrong? You have no fucking idea.
So don't feel so bad.
Listen, you know how many times I looked on Facebook to see what her birthday was so I wouldn't forget? Oh, my God. I can't tell you how many times. Holy shit. April 21st.
Forget.
Happy birthday to you.
No, your birthday's coming up.
I know. Mine's coming up in a day or two. Yes. You know, the podcast will be over. Yes.
Yeah.
I am a great March baby. March 8th, 51. Holy shit. Huh? I'm a Pisces. Yes, I am a Pisces.
Yo, the Pisces energy has been so strong recently. Wow.
But you have no idea.
It makes sense. It does.
You know how many people would come to the auction and they'd be talking to me and I'm like, oh, I don't know this guy's name. But I know their buyer number. I know what they collect. I know what they purchase. I know exactly everything about what they have. Even when we go to people's houses, I would go, I don't know their name, but I know, in the back right there, yeah, he had a collection of Roald Dahl figurines that were over there. And there was a great toy over here on the left side and this and that. But
go in the car with him at any point and he'd be like, I picked it from there and there and there and there.
That is
that
true.
house and that house. Only once did you forget. We went back to a house.
Yeah.
And we pulled up for the house call, and I was like, "We've been here before."
Yeah,
You're like, "No, we
that.
haven't." I said,
Yep.
"Yes, we have." There's a woman. There was a husband, but I read the paperwork from Janet. It said he had passed, and he had 2 dogs. And we went in, and I could tell you exactly what they had before we walked in the house. One time in 30 years,
Right.
I was right.
So yeah.
One time.
Well, you know what's crazy when you do this business so long and for 30 years. It's crazy how many houses I drive by and I go, yeah, I've been in that house. I've been in that house. I cleaned out that house, did that house. It's just insane. You know, it really is insane when you think of it that way. Mm-hmm. Even in Franklin Township, all 4 of the oldest farms there, I've cleaned out all 4 of those and auctioned them off, you know, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. It is pretty
Especially
cool when you think about
properties,
it. Yeah. No. Yeah. And every time it's funny because every time we go down to Cape May and we go over the bridge there, going into like Ocean City, I always say Ocean City, Maryland, but it's Ocean City, New Jersey. There was a house contents I did right over the bridge that literally you couldn't get to their house. They didn't have a road to their house. You literally had to get off the parkway. Oh, I know there was a road, but I couldn't with a truck because you couldn't fit under the bridge. You had to get on the parkway, go down this dirt road to get back there to get to the house, which is fucking cool actually when you think of it. Imagine living in a house like that's on the water.
With like 2 feet of snow on the ground.
Yes. So
I found our future home though in Cape May.
Oh, there is a beautiful home in Cape May.
It's right off of the bay, kind of in the marshland a little bit. They built it to be an exact smaller replica of Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
Right on the water. Really? Oh my God.
I've never seen it. Well, you can't see it when you're driving around because it's like back.
That sounds dreamy.
It is.
Right. And it wasn't, I mean,
hit the lottery.
Wasn't it like 1.3 2 million.
Yeah.
Which sounds
Buy
like
3.
I know. At one point we were just talking
You're at
about
it.
people's levels of money.
Buy a couple.
I don't have that kind of money.
I don't have that kind of money. I would love, but when you
for
think
Cape-
about
for
it, for
the
Cape
area,
May, 1.2 million to
it's not
own
bad.
like
And still waterfront.
Oh my god.
it is water.
You know, that's definitely gonna.
Oh my god.
No, absolutely. Speaking of Cape May, we just got back from Cape May. Boy, what a trip! What a some of you might not notice. I know you guys don't, but our listeners. We besides the auction business, we also sell in a couple different co-ops, and we're in the Antique Center down there, the Cape May Antique Center, and every year we go back and basically we flush the merchandise. We take everything out, put everything back, and then put all new stuff in. What a bitch!
I mean, are they glass shelves?
It was.
Oh, you gotta wipe them all down.
Yes, there's 3 different glass curios, but we took out 2 glass curios.
Yeah,
put
we did.
Two
The
new
ones in the building.
The
there.
Yadro one and
Yeah,
the
the
other
two
one.
of
Those
them.
were
Yeah,
in
we
the
brought them
store,
back.
and we bought 2 ones that are skinnier, so they fit better, and it looks really good.
And you saw
but-
those two cabinets I
lot of
bought
work.
out of the gentleman's house. We're about to sell.
Yes,
yeah,
those,
you
like,
knew
those
you were
metal
a
and
caretaker
glass.
or something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So those 2 black ones we took down there and exchanged them because I thought they were.
It does look. It looks
nice and clean.
really
Not
nice
even
and
that.
clean.
In the store, I prefer an open cabinet. So I took the front doors off the cabinets that they had. That way, when someone comes shopping, I don't know. When you go into some of these antique stores and everything's between lock and key and you can't touch it, I feel like
And there's always
You
like
ain't gonna
an
sell it.
80-year-old shaky woman with like a 50-pound ring of keys, and
Yes.
she's like, "Oh, just wait."
exactly. I prefer an open cabinet so people could actually like hold it, touch it. I feel like you have a better shot of selling it.
Okay.
In that setting versus behind
True.
a key and don't
Once you get to
touch.
hold it, you'll you get attached.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
no.
do.
It's like at the auction. I always say, touch it, feel it. You once you have it in your hand, you can see it and want it, and you love it, and you got to have it.
Touch
You
it.
guys, look
Yeah,
at you guys,
touch
man.
it. Yeah. Just
You
touch
told me
it.
not, you guys have the bad minds, not me.
Just touch it.
I'll say
Okay,
nothing.
fine. Well, that pedestal in Jordanaire that's in the corner. One of the benefits. One of the
delicious.
benefits of having a store is like we put stuff down there, and there's a few things that like we overprice it if it sells. Fantastic. If not, we'll keep it.
Yeah, where are my bronze mirrors, by the way?
They're down there. I just didn't have the guys bring it up. I
love them,
had the
too.
pedestal in Jordanaire come up today.
Oh, those mirrors with the glass cabochons.
Yes, aren't they nice?
Oh,
They
and
came out of the same house as
bird
that pedestal
motif.
in
Is that like a
Jordanaire.
sparrow or something on top? Oh,
I put them
saw
down
'em.
there and
Oh,
said,
I
if
saw
they
'em.
sell, fine. If they don't, they're coming in my house.
Delicious. And I would love I know it's a touchy subject about polishing,
Yes.
your antiques versus, enjoying
Leaving
the
the
patina.
patina, yeah.
I think it is unique to each individual item, but
Yeah.
those, like, not even like with a full
Yeah.
high polish, but just a light, just
Just
to
a
lighten
light.
it up a little bit.
They are something.
Well, the
They're good.
pedestal in Jordanaire, and actually those sconces, they came out of the same house. We did an auction about 2 years ago down in Forked River. It was an estate, and he had really nice antiques throughout the house, this and that. And I just think it was such a beautiful pedestal in Jordanaire that I was like, I want to keep it, but
It is
I don't know.
lovely.
I can't stand flowers in the house. I have a flower here and a flower there, only because the smell of flowers just drive me nuts.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't
He
know.
hates it, but
I do.
thanks to our oldest, I have flowers in the house.
Oh, that's true.
I sent him to the store and said, "Get me outdoor flowers because the bees. There's nowhere for
the
the bees to
bees.
go this time of year."
Don't you love the bees in the back?
Yeah.
I know Tracy loves the bees.
Yeah.
love
They're
them.
great.
Tracy's been screaming for
Every time I go out there.
So and right now, what's been happening is right now every day it hits above 50. Because there's no flowers and stuff, we have hundreds of
of
honeybees
bees.
coming out from
There's a
next
small
door.
apiary, right? Next
Well,
door?
next door he has two hives.
has 2 hives, but then
Okay.
he said the person next to him
Has 6
has
hives.
6 hives.
So what is that?
that explains it.
10,000 bees. It's like my worst fucking nightmare.
It explains it.
They're chill.
So
They
it-
are chill.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. You're not chill.
They
They're honeybees.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
but-
feel like you're coming with like your energy on a 10.
Yeah.
And they can sense that. And they're
They're
like,
sensing
"Here she
your negative
comes."
energy, Tracy. I'm
I'm
sorry.
afraid of them. I've never been.
I don't
stung by a
blame you.
bee.
I've been stung
I
by
don't blame
bees.
you.
No, I do not.
Well, you know what? Maybe you should work on that because I think they can.
They know.
I think they can sense it. That's all I'm
sense
saying.
your
Honeybees are
dislike.
actually, so our one auctioneer, Kevin, which is Janet's son-in-law, he was a beekeeper. And
Yeah.
he had bees all the time. He said he used to be one with the bee. I don't know.
Beekeepers have one of the longest life expectancies.
Because you have to be chill
profession.
in that situation.
Yeah, and also the vibration of their wings when they're flying and in the hive is at a certain frequency that has healing effects,
Right.
similar to a cat's
See?
purr.
Like a cat purr.
Yeah.
I'll take a cat.
Well, don't get me wrong. The wasp, I hate the fucking wasp. I'll kill them all
Well, that's
fucking
because wasps
day.
ain't shit.
Yeah, I can't stand them. They're motherfuckers. The honeybees,
never gonna
say
shit. That's why
trust
they're
me.
mad.
Very aggressive.
That's why they're mad.
Because we have a wasp problem around
Trust
here
me,
too, man.
We'll
I mean,
have wasps in the,
oh
in
my
the
god, I
summer.
stepped on one last year, man. I'll never
Oh, you
forget.
did in the
I was
house.
so
In
mad.
the house?
Yeah, because lately they've been getting in the house.
Somehow.
Last 2 years, like
Somehow.
one a
I
day,
don't know.
Silicone
one or
out
two a
and
day
start
coming.
plugging holes.
I did. That's why I don't know where they're coming from.
Shellac the hole.
I woke up, and
hate wasps.
I'm a bear when I wake up. You guys can contest. You can contest to that. I'm a bear when I woke up. She's only seen me once when I've woken up when she got here early, and I just woke up, and I literally walked across this grass, fucking opened the door, and said, "Fucking good morning to you," and I fucking walked out. Right, until I have my cup of coffee. Fuck you all. That's really the deal. So, I got my my fucking wasp. So I come down, had my morning pee, my morning coffee. I go to sit down and I step on a fucking wasp, and I wasn't even awake
Stung him
yet.
right in the foot.
Right in the foot. Boy, did that hurt. That hurt. I mean, I fell down the
Wasp
stairs
stings.
2 weeks ago. It didn't hurt as bad as that. I mean, I'm still hurting in my arm. I fell down the stairs, but man, that
I
fucking
kind of
wasp
just
was a
wish there
bitch.
was an audio of you falling down the stairs.
Oh,
Because I
man.
want to hear. I want to hear.
Or was it just do-do, do-do?
It was a
No.
four thumper.
Oh,
It was a fucking
It
four
woke
thumper.
me up out of my sleep. I shot up in bed. I was like, "What is going on?"
I felt that I landed like by my fireplace. And if you're looking over there, fireplace is like 15 feet away from the stairs. I fucking landed there and just went, fuck, fuck,
Yep.
fuck. Just like that. That's all I did. I said, fuck. Man, it hurts so bad. I can't believe I was so stunned. I don't even know how to fucking happen. No, that's okay.
I don't need to laugh at your pain,
I
but
was
that's-
so mad. It
I
was
have
all
no
because
problems laughing at his.
I went to get my cell phone because I snow plowed in the morning, and I got done plowing. I was still smoking my cigar, so I was like, oh, let me go get my phone. So I ran upstairs, and my right foot slipped on the top stair, and I just went bam, 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 right on my left side, boom, 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 right down. I was like, man, and now this shoulder's bugging me again. So I don't know, but yeah, that just happened.
yeah,
Downstairs will do that.
Yeah, it can do
Hurts.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it did not feel good. I could tell you that.
But so the original point was I sent Joey to
What?
the store to get flowers for the
yeah,
bees.
that's
We
right. We
digress.
can turn that
Circle back
around.
around.
so we have some neurodivergence.
Yeah, I
I
don't.
say, yeah, a little bit.
So we put flowers
So
outside.
I sent him to the store and said, "Buy me outdoor flowers. I don't care what they are, just so I could put them over on the other side
Yep.
to attract the bees that way." I'm working outside with Matt. He comes back. He's like, "I got the flowers,
Yeah, he brought these to put outside
Orchids.
to attract the
dear.
bees.
orchids."
Oh dear.
They ain't gonna last outside.
They're not outside.
I was like,
Orchids are.
I love you so
strictly
much.
indoors.
Same with the amaryllis. They're really not meant
amaryllis.
for
He,
outdoors.
he brings me 2 orchids and an amaryllis, and I was like, "I love you very much.
But
Try again."
At least they don't have a scent. You know, the phalaenopsis.
No, they
and
don't.
But at least they're sculptural and nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
to look
but
at?
I have a whole windowsill full of orchids that won't bloom again. I'm like, "Great, let's add to the collection."
We'll talk. We'll talk. I have.
Okay.
I'm good with orchids.
Are you? 'Cause I'm awful.
I actually used to work at an orchid growing company.
Oh, good.
And I learned a lot.
You're awesome.
I've had a very past.
Yeah, he's a jack of all trades.
Yes, a Renaissance man, if you will.
So you were growing orchids? Is that what you said?
I
missed
wasn't
it.
growing orchids. I was more on the wholesale and
Did you talk
resale
to them?
side of it. No, they were just bigger greenhouses. They were mainly phalaenopsis orchids, which are like the ones you see pretty much everywhere.
Right, right.
Every now and then we bring in exotics.
Remember?
But it was pretty cool.
That brings me. Remember we went and looked at a contents of flowers.
Yeah, greenhouse.
It was a greenhouse,
Yeah.
and it was all kinds
It's
of.
in North Jersey, I think.
It was up in North Jersey. I remember. I'll never forget this. And we were gonna. They wanted us to sell the contents. It was like rare flowers. It was rare.
We were going to do an
fucking
on-site
things,
sale,
right?
Because you couldn't really take them out of the greenhouse for extended periods of time.
Right. Yeah.
Because they required.
We
yeah,
didn't
the
get
certain
that job, but we
No.
bid it. We bid the job. We didn't get it. I don't remember if
That
they
sounds
actually
pretty
auctioned it
cool.
off with someone else. I,
I
don't
have
remember.
no idea.
But it was like greenhouses of rare.
Succulents and
Yeah.
different kinds of flowers. Oh, it was.
Succulents.
I was
Hell
enjoying.
yeah.
I like succulents.
Oh my god!
Succulents.
And he's talking about us.
What? I mean it. I like succulents. Where are you guys going?
Do we own succulents?
I don't know.
There's no idea. We do. They're in the
We
kitchen.
own succulents. That's even better yet. We do own succulents.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah, they were really nice.
All right, and
They were exotic. I was really hoping we got it.
It was cool shit.
For me, it was
greenhouses
like
are really cool spaces. I mean, they're all very unique, and they
Yeah.
always have like cool little like nooks and crannies, or like hidden rooms, or
Right.
You know, and they're all usually fairly old.
Yeah.
You know.
And I've said it before, but that was my forte into the auction world when I worked for Rutgers and we used to do the plant auction.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, I used to go to the different nurseries and pick them up in the greenhouse. Oh, I loved it. I could do that all
That's
day.
because you just like it
every
warm
day.
in a greenhouse.
Well, that too. It
I
doesn't hurt.
can't,
The
No.
air is nice in the greenhouse. Very.
But it's
oxygenated.
flowers.
I need air conditioning. Oh man,
I love
I'd be a
flowers.
bad
I love
plant.
plants.
Yes.
I'm that person. Like
You can really feel the life in the space.
Like every funeral that these days, in lieu of flowers, no bitch, bring flowers.
Right.
I want so many flowers that this man is like,
I will be. I'll die at the funeral. What? I mean it. No, I'm just saying with it would be.
What was that statement, though?
Meaning, if you wanted me to fill it all with flowers, I'm going to walk into the room and feed me Seymour.
yes.
Yes.
Like feed you to Seymour.
Oh my God. Yes.
What?
No.
Oh no!
I'm
I'm
so
sorry. What was the plant
confused right
name?
now.
Audrey too. Audrey too.
Audrey too.
Audrey too.
The attempt at the reference, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, why? Have I got it wrong?
Seymour was the guy.
Guy.
The plant
Was like the nerdy one.
Audrey was
was
the player.
Audrey.
Audrey two.
Audrey too. Okay, I know.
Audrey too.
Audrey 2's the plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feed me Seymour. The
Is it-
plant is
The
singing
plant is
to
talking.
Seymour. Feed me Seymour.
Oh man, I got that totally wrong. Now I get it. Now I don't know why it was like crickets there. We should put crickets into that
Yeah.
line. Crick, 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 crick. I don't know what the feed me Seymour. It's like Suddenly Seymour. Is that the name of the song in that? Suddenly Seymour.
Yeah, suddenly Seymour.
Suddenly Seymour.
Standing
He's like,
beside
you're
her.
Right.
It totally.
Hey, you know
We
what?
are-
But it don't matter. You all got what I was talking
all
about.
the way
See,
over here.
You have to get through my own language. It's the Bodnars
We took the
banter.
long way around.
Yeah, that was the Banter.
We usually do, don't we?
That's all, folks. I
We
mean,
do. But always fun sights to be.
Anyway.
well, on the plant side, I don't know, but that I didn't mean it like you know me. I can't stand flowers. The lilies. Every time I buy you lilies, because I know you love
them.
lilies. You love the
It's a
lilies.
them
strongly
all.
scented flower.
But every
so
time I
it's
get it, I get a
It's-
which of it. It kills me. It's just like, oh my
But
god.
I told him a million times, you
no
don't have
Easter
to buy me
lilies for you,
lilies.
Joe?
Right, there
No,
are
no,
so
we
many
see.
other plants.
Get me anything other than
Anything
those
else.
freaking things that they color at ShopRite. Do you know what I'm talking about? The roses or the other flowers that they put into the color dye.
Sunflowers, carnations,
Oh,
all of
Astro
those.
Purple
Mira.
roses.
There's like those ones almost look like little mini
Yeah.
lilies, but they're always in bright colors.
Yeah, but like anything other than that, I'm good.
Right.
How do you
Like,
feel about a carnation?
I like a carnation.
I like a carnation too, not in a mixed bouquet though.
Okay.
In like a large bouquet.
In a
of
large
just
bouquet. Or just
carnation.
a
Oh, that's a
single,
lot
know what I mean?
cheaper.
or a single red carnation in the lapel.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, classic.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
all right.
you're a cheap date then. That's cheaper. I could bring you 5 dozen carnations.
Damn, Danny.
No, I mean no.
I don't mean it like that. Holy
no,
smokes.
see, I would be
I'm
happy with
gonna
5 dozen
leave that.
carnations.
Oh.
I would also be happy with a bouquet from a florist,
Right.
whether it be, and it
Yes.
doesn't have to be something large. It could be, a posy. It could be a
Yeah.
nosegay. It could be a small
You guys are way
arrangement,
over
like-
the top here. I have no idea
Yeah,
what
you
the
know
fuck
what I'm
you're
saying?
talking
Just
about.
a little something,
A
something.
nosegay.
Yeah, you want to
You
go
know?
big? Bring me some peonies.
Nothing crazy.
Peonies?
Just like
Peonies.
Peony.
Peonies.
Oh
This
my
is
God,
a
yes.
flowers are
Keep it.
sexual here.
Wildflowers. I mean, even
what?
like
Yes.
a good selection of like wildflowers or something. I like it.
Well, I was
I
going
like
to
'em
say
all.
in the back, and you have like such a good space
I
that
know.
Right.
you can do like the non-dig style garden where you just lay
Yes, lay out the-
cardboard and then do like soil on top and just do like 1 or 2 nice rows of wildflowers.
Yeah.
Just sprinkle the seeds and let them go.
I tried that
Bring
along
the
the one
bees.
edge one year, right before we got married. I tried it because there's just poison ivy there that just,
Right.
and I keep trying to kill it off, and it just
It's a thicket.
the shit keeps coming back.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
it only one type of the flower, almost like a black-eyed Susan, is the only one that popped up out of
Okay.
all that. I was like, well, that was a giant.
I don't get poison ivy. Do you get poison ivy?
I have gotten it but like only as an adult.
Look at
and
it.
it's
Do you
been,
get poison
like,
ivy?
awful.
I have never gotten it at all, but my brother is highly allergic.
Yeah, I don't get it. No.
I look at it
So-
the wrong way.
So we had all this
And I get
poison
it.
ivy over there, right? So I tell Jeffrey and the guy who worked for me, Tom, at the time, not the Tom who's working now, but my old Superman Tom. Hey, I say, when we're
He didn't know his last name either.
yeah, I don't know. No, I don't. He's Superman, Tom.
See?
There you go.
See?
So at any rate, he pulled out. It was during the winter. I said, pull out all the leaves over the poison ivy over there. He's like, you're not going to get it. I went, no, you won't get poison
He
ivy.
said, "No, it's dead."
It's all dead. You know, it's winter. It's
Looked
dormant.
like Quasimodo.
He was so fucked up.
'Cause he's
He was so
sweating and he's
red.
wiping his
He was
face.
sweating. It got all over.
His
And
eyes were swollen.
I felt
shut.
terrible. Oh my god, he came. He was swollen
He
up.
was so mad,
my
too.
god, he was so swollen
Probably
up. I
like
was
soak literally
holy
in a bathtub
smokes.
full of like
Yeah.
calamari.
He looked like Quasimodo. I felt so bad.
It's terrible.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
even, and that was like, to me, it was dead. It was winter. I didn't think
And he
it would
came
be
into
like that.
work like the next, like on Monday, because this was on a Friday. He came in on Monday. And he's like, I don't know what happened to me. And I'm like, he was like, well, I was pulling the dead poison ivy. And I was like, where is it dead? And he was like, over here.
I
I'm
gave
like,
him wrong information.
no, it just goes dormant. Like it's still alive.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
not
You
even the
still
leaf.
get-
It's just like the
It was the
the
full-on-
liquid inside
Yeah.
of it.
The sap,
Yeah.
The juice.
the juices.
The juice, the mean itchy juice.
It is mean. Did you
angry
see
juice.
some of it? I mean, there is some serious poison ivy out in these woods over here. I mean, there's some going up that one tree that's so
Well, that
thick and
thicket,
hairy.
the little thicket right there.
It is.
I peep it.
I don't. Yeah,
It's going
I don't
crazy
mess
over there.
with that anymore.
It's like a
I've
mix of, like,
tried to kill it
honeysuckle,
off.
berries, and poison ivy.
I
Yeah,
tried
no.
to kill it off. It doesn't work, and I gave up.
It's a
but
tough
there's
plant.
companies that do that, so I'm thinking
Right.
about calling them in.
I don't know, man. Poison ivy. I don't like it.
I don't
No,
think
thank
anybody
you.
does.
No. But yeah, no, that was so going back to Cape May and switching out the store and bringing things in and bringing things back. That was a long week. It was a long 3 days. It was nothing but a hustle. But I guess that's what the business is. It's a hustle.
It is a hustle.
You know, you got to hustle out there. to
Everybody
make
thinks
it.
it's like, oh, people apply to work with us, and they're like, I have specialties in it. Like, you don't know the grind that you're asking to get yourself into. Everyone thinks, it's something completely opposite. Of what
It was a
is.
grind. Even you guys setting up the pop sale today, that was a grind, right?
Gosh, poor
Yes.
Tracy
Oh
was
man,
angry.
it's just
1,000 pops.
something like that, But it was just the thing that bothered me today was that it was not organized when it was put in the trailer.
It was put all out of
Jeff.
It
order.
was
Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Gollum.
But no, that's what it was. It's like if you had thought forward, right? Like forward to like when you have to take them out,
Right.
it would have gone faster. However, that didn't happen.
Right,
So,
right, right.
You have to take that extra step to organize it inside or in the trailer. And then the acrylic cases just kept falling apart, and that was so much
poor
fun.
Tracy. I was
like,
talking
it was just
to
like blah, 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 blah,
Danny and
blah,
Erica,
like,
and
like
she
you
just
fell down the stairs. Just
There you have it.
Full handful.
yeah,
we're
and
going
then
blah, 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 blah,
one would pop off, like the bottom would pop off, or the top, and then forget it.
It was
Then
just
the whole thing collapses. It happened multiple
It's like
times.
Jenga.
I gotta go back to the
Hilarious.
videotape and watch
Jenga.
this.
And I'm just watching Tracy.
Oh my
I'm
God.
talking to Danny and Erica. I'm just watching Tracy, and
I
every
just get
then we have to
madder
stop and
and
go-
madder,
yeah,
quieter and
Every
quieter.
pass, every time she passed, her face got angrier and angrier. Finally, I was
Right.
like, "Are you okay?"
Well, she
no.
wanted. Well, this is what happened. You wanted to be a superstar today,
Sure, but I did
I
it.
mean, you
did
already
it.
took Alan's job this past week. Now you're taking Jeff and Tommy's job this week. So man, that's she was
it. Everybody's
superstar.
fired.
But you
I
got.
got my eye on you, ho.
She's coming for you.
She's coming for everybody.
everybody.
You coming for
Isn't
me.
it funny like when you
That
when you
shit
try
ain't
to
gonna
do
go down.
something like that and it just goes wrong? You know.
I mean,
like,
it went wrong for a little bit, and then I
Right.
ate, and then it was fine.
so you must have loved it when I came in and said, "Oh, by the way, I don't want it like that." I had her move half of it because I came in and she didn't have it on the floor
No.
underneath on the left side. I'm like, "How's it going to fit? You have to do it there." So what she already put in the cases, she had to move from there. So
just moved
I know
it.
that feeling because I've done that to you at the
I am
Ukraine Center or at the Expo Center.
Glad
a
I
couple
wasn't
times.
there.
No, it
But I
was
basically walked in and
fine.
said, "I don't like it this way. You got to do that." And then she went to lunch. So now I even get a bigger concept of the situation.
It was fine. We figured it out,
Right.
And we still have room for the historical.
Right.
So
As shitty as it was, I mean, from a side view, it was kind of hilarious. And not even kind of, like, it was hilarious
He
each
is
time
laughing
because,
at
like, it
your
would just be
pain.
silence. We're all doing our own thing, working, you know, and
You just hear.
and then out of nowhere, all you hear is.
Shit.
And then you just look over and you're like, ooh,
Just go
all
back
right,
to
let's-
typing. Don't do anything.
But I
Boy, oh
felt
boy.
your pain when I was back there because I
Yeah.
sorted them and I was
Right.
trying to move, and every time I'm trying to move them, the same thing kept happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
The
I w-
numbers were upside down.
Yeah.
They were not in order.
You-
Everything was just, it was like
Yeah.
he was throwing them in there.
Yeah.
Like just throwing
It's
them.
tough. I mean, I agree. I wish it would go in a little bit easier, but sometimes it isn't. I mean, even like, you know, our
They're
upcoming sale.
square boxes.
Yeah, they're
Joe.
square boxes.
They're
Well,
square
what's
boxes.
the point of
What's
Well,
so
I don't
hard
disagree.
mixing up all the
about-
lot numbers? What's the
I
point
can't. I
of that?
can't defend that. I guess
Right.
because they are square little boxes.
They're
but
square little boxes.
So I
They
mean,
line up flat.
if you look at our upcoming sale next week, we have the art sale coming up, and I was going to say that's a bitch because you talk about setting up what you just did and trying to organize it, but when we try to set up art in the building, God, man, it's brutal, man.
The
It's
stacks.
no. I mean, even putting it in the trailer, I can tell you, you want to talk. You want
That's
that
full.
sale is real screwed up. I mean, Jeffrey and Tom, unfortunately, didn't really listen to me. I said, start at one corner, stack it up, and go around this trailer. And they put some here, some here, some there, some there.
does
Then they
Jeff
didn't
have
build
that?
it around. Then I had to move it to another trailer. So I don't even want to pull that sale apart. When we pull that sale in, bring it in next week to
Just
to,
make them
to
do
put it
it.
in a showroom. I am
Right?
going to make them do it. It's going to be mind-boggling. Plus, it's hard to display. When you're
It's
Yeah,
tough
you
'cause
can't
there's only
see.
so much space available, and then you do end
Yeah.
up stacking.
we have
and then
we
Yeah.
have literally I think 175 pieces of art.
Yeah.
I think in the sale.
That's a lot.
So and figure that's a lot to display in like a 2,000 square foot facility. It ain't gonna, it's going to be tough. But I'll tell you, the sale looks great. The actual auction. I mean, what's nice about it? We have several different collections next week. The first part of the sale is part 2 of what we sold. I guess our art sale was back in January or anyway, it's of December, I think it was. But it's one guy he bought off of the. It's not even QVC. It's like Late Night Auction Network. It's called. I think it was called the Auction Network. Is actually the name of the TV
You ever
show.
watch those?
I don't. Have you ever watched the Auction Network?
Not on auction, but QVC.
You know, it's
Oh, no.
well QVC. I love
The
watching
jewelry,
QVC, man.
like the gemstones.
oh,
where they-
JTV.
Yeah, where they just
JTV.
put the gemstone on the tray and it just
it spins right in this.
I love it.
Why,
It's
why do you
hypnotic.
think I have? What's it look like in the back with the thing spinning and everything? I got it
What's
from
that one we
QVC.
were watching? Was it New Year's Eve?
New Year's
or-
Eve, we watched one of these. Right, it was called the Auction Network,
And I'd never seen it before.
I think they were selling jewelry. Right, it was jewel or gems. Loose stones, yeah, loose diamonds. Loose
Spice
diamonds.
mixes. Oh
So-
yeah.
So these,
Loose diamonds, but lab created diamonds. and
No
yeah.
resale
yeah,
value.
these
folks.
were lab
Don't do
created.
it.
Yeah, lab created. What do you know what I'm saying? Created. And so we go right, and he's like, yeah, this is a great deal, $20,000. Come on, everybody, get in there, 20,000, get about 20. He's like,
He's not
like,
even auctioneering.
I'm sorry, he's not even that exciting.
auctioneering.
$20,000, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you got to get in before we drop the
Retail value. Look, we just looked up on this site.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is what it's selling for retail. But then they would play this god awful music. It was like dum dum dum,
like
It's
doomsday
terrible.
music.
right? And he was like, I'm going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to lower the price.
Yeah.
Lower. But he kept doing it, and I'm looking at
It's
it
down
like
to 5,000.
cross-eyed, like what is happening here?
Then it's down to 1,000. Then it's down to like 500. This is the final time. 500.
final time.
And now we sold 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's pinging. It's such
It
bullshit.
was the weirdest
you know?
thing I've
It's-
ever witnessed in my
It
life.
sounds like JTV on 1,000.
Yeah, no, it's like
Yeah.
that. It was crazy, right? But and I've honestly out there. If you're out there and you're watching this, you know. Don't buy from
these
them.
things.
No, don't buy from them.
Don't buy coins on QVC.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna
coins
get
on
sued for
QVC are
that.
overrated.
They're overpriced.
Artwork and jewelry, crazy. All three are crazy in my opinion. And these are the things you have to watch out for. So the collection we're selling the first half of the collection, he bought from this on TV, not online, but a TV generated auction where if you looked at the prices, I know you probably saw some of the prices.
Yeah, like the receipts and stuff.
Yeah, there was receipts in the bag. So
Yeah.
he bought like a Picasso, but it's not a real Picasso. It's a lithograph Picasso, right? It's a lithograph signed by Picasso. He spent like $8,000.
So much.
All right. The next one, $5,000, $7,000, $12,000,
that
$8,000. Yeah.
Oh, I remember those heavy
And
frames.
Yes.
he has the receipts to prove what he paid for, you know.
Those invoices were crazy.
The reality is that stuff is probably going to bring 10%, 15%. I mean, even the first sale that we sold it, if he paid $10,000, it brought like $800 to $1,200. That was what kind of where it was
There
falling.
were still some cool pieces, though. Granted, I
Yes.
mean, a lot of
Yes.
it was kind of mid. You know
Yes.
what I mean? But still beautiful. It was such a wide array of things. Paper clipping. You know what I mean? Like pieces of lithographs, and like
Yes.
I really found the really antique pieces.
Yes.
Super neat. Like the really old like wood block
Yes.
prints, or or like little fragments of.
And everything comes with the
architecture.
COA.
It was really cool.
And it's all beautiful. Even the things we're selling, it's absolutely beautiful. But I'm just saying, don't get ripped off by these companies, because you got to watch it. If they're on TV, you're more than likely going to get you have to do your homework, basically, is what I should say. I should say if they're on TV, don't trust them. But I shouldn't say that, because that's not necessarily
You've
the
been
case.
on TV.
I know, I've been on TV. That's what I'm thinking. I better shut the fuck
been
up.
on TV multiple times.
But seriously, setup sales. I don't know if you've ever attended a setup sale or seen a setup sale. That's what we call it in the industry, a setup sale. There's a lot of times there's a company that would go county to county to set up at the Hilton in Somerset,
ballroom.
or they'd set up in a ballroom
I've seen those
at they
before.
had one down the
Okay.
street here at Pierre's where
Yeah.
we get our lunch, where they bring in 200 pieces of art, they bring in 100 pieces of rugs,
This
they'll
stuff
bring
you see
in
at the doctor's
Rolexes and
office.
diamonds and things like
Yeah,
that.
kind of.
And
That.
what they do is it all has reserves, meaning they don't sell it for less than a certain price. The reserves are generally full-blown retail. They're all and half the time, you're looking at these paintings and you think they're great, but they're really just lithographs that are signed by the artist, and they made hundreds of them and thousands of them, and sometimes they're just a print and they're not even as good as a lithograph or a serigraph. And what they do is, because I went to a couple, and I posed as like just a buyer, especially 2 years ago, they had one here at Pierre's, and I came in and I'm looking around.
How I wish you would have had like the hidden camera glasses.
All right, it would have been great.
Right?
Right? So I'm posing, walking around, I wanted to scope out the situation, but hey, get the fuck out of my town. But I didn't, But anyway, I go in. And he's like, "Oh, what are you interested in?" I said, "I don't know, I'm just looking." "Oh, you should really get your bids in, sir, because we just had a bunch of New York City dealers come in and they left big bids. They
yeah,
left
sure,
5,000 on
of
this.
course.
You should probably leave 6 if you're interested,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you want to get in." I was such bullshit, and I'm going to myself. There was a part of me that wanted to say, "Fuck you, man! I know what you're doing," but I didn't. I just wanted
honey
to.
dick me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's how these companies are, and it
We
takes
actually
advantage of
cleaned
them.
out the warehouse of one of those.
Yes, one of them did go bankrupt.
They went.
I think-
They didn't go bankrupt. They got sued.
They did get sued.
multiple times.
Yes.
and because Joe's the president of the Auctioneers Association.
Yes.
and they tried to become members multiple times, and we turned them down. So we said, "You're not a real auction house, and you're not running a legitimate
It's not an auction.
business." Like
No.
the theme of the Auctioneers Association is ethics.
Yes.
We police each other so that what's going out to the public is ethical.
Yes.
And you're not ethical. And we wouldn't let them in. And then finally a landlord called us and he was like, "We had this business in here." And I was like, "What was the name?" And he said the name. And I was like, "Look who it is."
Yeah, it was.
They were out of business and they weren't paying their rent anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we sold off a lot of their shit.
We sold off a lot of their
for
stuff.
a fraction of what they were looking for.
Yep.
But their game is they would bring in, if they sold 3 items or 5 items if basically if something that would bring 300 to 500 realistically in a fair market value at our auction in a competitive market, they were bidding it up or not letting it sell for less than 3,000 or 4,000. You know what I'm saying? And if they got 3-4 pieces off and you made $3,000 profit on each piece, you had a good day when you think about it. I mean, it's 369. You make $10,000 selling 3 items. Well, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's how these guys look at it. But it's real crooked because
That
then you go.
hustle's crazy.
And it is, and they would have, they talk about shills in the audience, and things like that. They did have shills in the audience. Where
What's a shill?
What's a
I don't know.
shill?
I'm
Yeah.
not familiar.
Oh,
with
so a shill would be
shill
like
bidding.
like a plant.
yeah, exactly. They would have their
like
own
someone in the
employees
audience.
in the building. like bidding
Pretending to
and
bid.
pretending to bid and bid against you. And then they would go. And the best is one other time they had. I went to one of these sales and they didn't even have a shill, but the auctioneer took bids and there was no one else bidding and no one bought it. And he goes, "Oh, congratulations to the guy in the back!" And everyone's clapping. It didn't even sell. There wasn't even anyone back there. But if you could put on a show like that, I mean, if you're savvy and you know what you're doing, it's a show. You know, it's a show.
Yeah.
But you got to watch it because you don't want to get caught up in that, and then you're caught with all these paintings that you spent. This guy that we're selling for. I mean, if you added up all his invoices, because I remember I had when I went down to talk to the kids, because it's a state situation. They're like, "Well, we have receipts. My father spent $135,000 on art," and the guy never even took it out of the box. It was all still bubble wrapped and everything. It was all bubble wrapped, and I didn't even want to touch it. I told him, I said, I think maybe you're going to get 10% on the dollar, if that, you know. And I didn't even really look at it because a lot of it looked like hokey pokey to me, because it was like, it wasn't even like signed dollies and signed. They weren't even signed. It was reprints, you know. But then he gave it to us blind, because there again, it was like 150 pieces. I only looked at like 10 pieces when I was at the estate. And then they didn't call us back for like 2 years, I think. It was like good 2 years. And then they called us back and said, you know, we're going to give it to you and it's going to come up. And when we went through it, I was actually really happy. I mean, his first sale brought, I don't know, 15,000, 18,000 for what was there, and I think he's going to do another.
There were some really cool pieces.
So he's
there are nice pieces
within the the whole scope of the collection.
Right. So he's going to get 20% back on what he paid, but still, my God, what a hit!
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're in that situation, something's better than nothing.
Well, that's true, and
yes,
like I said, he probably got the thrill of buying it online. He probably called these companies up. They probably treated them like gold.
Royalty.
Because that's how they work. You know, all these companies operate
Offering,
that way.
like, limited releases or
Exactly.
like early access.
exactly. No, it's so heartbreaking though sometimes to see. Like, I remember one time we went on a house call. The guy was in a nursing home, and he said, "Oh, I have coins to sell," and so I go and look. And they were all QVC, all that kind of stuff. And they were just coin sets, just regular old quarter sets, this, that. And the guy's thinking like, oh, I'm going to help pay my nurse, to stay in this nursing home with this. And I had to tell him, you're not even going to get $100 for what you have.
Yeah,
and it's heartbreaking to have to be the one to say that.
And if it's posed to you that it's an investment, I don't know. I shouldn't say that either, because I say that all the time at the auction. This is a great investment. But I'm saying, if you look at QVC, and I love this guy. He sells silver dollars. We sell the silver dollar scrap for like $30. They have $30 worth of silver in them. But they're selling them for like $450, $500 a coin. Like, it's very rare and this and that.
And it's like,
rare.
sometimes certain coins, like if you're looking at Morgan dollars, you have a Carson City. Yeah, you're depending upon grade and how it looks, you're looking at $300 to $1,000 depending upon the year. There's certain things
criteria,
but majority they're selling like a 1921 peace dollar, and they're like, oh, mint condition, blah blah blah. Even in mint condition, it's barely worth over scrap.
Right.
Because there's so many of them. And you just feel bad because these people get taken advantage of.
And it's hard to say, too, because you know what? It is worth what someone's willing to pay for it at the end of the day. If you want to be a savvy buyer and you come to a reputable auction such as ours and you're bidding on the stuff and it's fair market value with no reserves, you might get caught up and it's worth a lot more than what I'm saying.
Well, and I think this is the benefit of auction. This is what people don't understand. When they let the resellers buy from auction, and then they buy it from the resellers who have markups because they have rent and all of this stuff. A true auction, an unreserved auction, will dictate what the market price is.
Correct. Absolutely.
And it's transparent most of the time, as long as you're going to a reputable place, and you're gonna pay a fair price for it.
Yes, but you gotta watch it. You go like even Park West. I love them. I mean, we sell a lot of Park West items, and I'm sure if you're not familiar with Park West, they're kind of like in the market of doing a lot of the higher end Dalis, Picassos, Marc Chagall, you name it. Peter Max, things like that. Yeah, we've sold a lot of those collections this past 2 years, actually. But there again, they paid 10 grand for it. We're going to get you 1,500 to 3,000. I mean, that's kind of, you're going to take a hit, especially from the 80s. It's not an investment, that's for sure.
No.
But if you're buying it from us at 1,500, it's an investment.
But that is my point. Because
But it's true.
that is the point, because you're going to pay fair market value.
Well, that is true. You're going to pay fair market value.
You're not paying an inflated price.
Right.
Art is one of those things where you speculate.
It is speculation.
Is it going to increase in value? Is it not? But at least you are paying a fair price.
It is speculation, right? You don't even know. You never know.
And I think like through a reputable house, when you're looking at that catalog, it's going to tell you exactly what you're looking at. It's not going to be. It's not. There's not going to be fluff.
Right.
You know what I
it's
mean?
Not
in our sale you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially well, that's what I'm saying. Like any reputable house, especially this house, is that's what you're going to see.
You are getting what you're looking at.
And it's hard, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you out there, if you trying to research your stuff and you're trying to research art, very difficult.
Yeah.
Even for myself, it becomes very difficult because I go to a lot of past auctions. You go into live auctioneers, you go into Invaluable, which you have to pay a subscription on Valuable. So don't go to Valuable, but live auctioneers will give it to you. Or you start scrolling through all these different catalogs, and you're going to get prices that are 200 to 20,000, and you got to decipher
that's it. Decipher
what
what's
really
real.
sold, what
What's
didn't
real.
sell. Did it have a reserve?
Sold
Did you see
prices.
it posted like 6 times over the last 5 years? And you'll see that sometimes it's been posted
The same
6
exact
times.
piece, because they have reserves on it. They don't disclose their reserves, so
Right.
it doesn't really sell. So they can run it to whatever they want to, make it look like it's sold on their site.
Yes.
But you're not going to get that price for it. They're trying to influence the market.
And there's been scams like that.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I'm not going to say their names here, but I know where a dealer bought like a collection of, say, 200 pieces from this one person's collection. Then they put it in auction and they run the price to 10,000, 12,000, 10,000, and do it all different auctions. And over the course of 5 years, now it looks like he's bringing 10, 15, 20, and now you've created a market and ba-doo. Totally illegal. Don't do that.
Yeah, no.
But that's one way. That's one way
unethical.
of manipulating the market and creating a market.
You're creating your own market to manipulate.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true
Well,
too.
exactly, because now you have all these pieces and you're going to sell them at a price that they're really not a fair market value.
Right. And some of it is worth it, and some of it, who the hell knows? I mean, I could think of 5 stories I'm not about to say right now, but my God, I can think of how that can manipulate the market. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
But it is a speculation. It really is a speculation. There's plenty of times, even at I go back, I remember we sold a pair, and we all make mistakes, even at my own auction. And this is where you can really find a hidden treasure. But there was we did a contents of a house in Plainfield, and there was such great stuff. And there was a pair of still life paintings, right? And they were, I dismissed them, to be honest with you. I thought they were prints. I didn't even promote them. I dismissed them. They were prints. You would feel it. It was like on an older board, and you would swear it was like a 1960s print of a still life. So anyway, we put them up for auction, and I started them at $10. But anyway, they bring 5,000 the first one. The next one brings 6,000. And the guy who bought it, if he was bidding, he knew art very well. He buys them in a corner. And as soon as he bought the first one, I went, oh, shit. That's what I said to myself. I screwed up here. I said, this thing must be really good. And he buys the second one. So anyway, he buys it. 8 months goes down to Pike or whatever. Then I hear that he resold it at Christie's and he got like $125,000 for the pair, right, or something like that. And I was like, damn, and he didn't, and he was scared to talk to me, And he finally comes in and I go, yes, Chris, I heard that you made $125,000. I said, to be honest with you, I'm happy that you did, And I said that's the part of an auction. I said I dismissed it. So what I found out is that they took this canvas and they remounted it, not on a normal. So normally when they reline paintings like that, they'll put it on another canvas, or you'll see it that way and restretcher it. That had nothing. They relined it like on on like a 60s cardboard. It was weird. I don't know why they did it that way, but it was, so it made it look like it was
when
a
you
print.
look at it, it looks
So it was like an
new.
old canvas mounted on like a mid-century
Right.
board.
Instead of relining it on another canvas, they relined it like on a board. And like, that's what threw me. And I never realized, I thought it was just a print.
It's wild.
Yeah, and it turned out to be this rare artist. So anyway, he was so nervous to talk to me. And I said, listen, I want everyone to have these kind of stories that they used to come to the sale and they scored something and made a fortune, because it's not the first time that somebody's done that. That's the whole point of going to auction sometimes, gambling on these things. And he and really the best, it was like one of the best things that could happen, really, because like what happened is that word got out, and now all artwork that came through the auction for the next 2 years brought a ton of money. Everybody was speculating that, oh, this is good. This must be good. This must be real good. I want to.
It's good for everyone.
And anytime Chris, then it killed him, because every time Chris came to the sale and bid on something, everybody would start bidding against him, speculating if it was good.
It's another 125,000, which by the way is so super rare.
It is super rare.
rare.
No, it genuinely it is. As somebody who, as a poor millennial, but like also a collector, it is so rare. Don't get me wrong. There's always, a diamond in the rough.
Right, right.
But, and those stories do exist, but people don't realize that the time in between each of those finds is usually, quite long.
Yeah, no.
You'll find one thing and you'll be like, great, oh, this is awesome. And then you won't get something that good if you do ever get something that good again.
In a lifetime.
I
don't disagree.
Of items before you hit that next time. But this is a perfect time to say to everyone, if they have a story,
yeah, no,
buying something at auction.
Oh, that's
absolutely.
great.
No,
Love to
send
hear
it
that.
in.
No, if you have a story out there, my listeners out there, comment to us or email us and let us know.
Bids and Banter podcast at gmail.com.
Yes, we want to hear those stories.
We want to hear those stories.
Absolutely. And you know what? We'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, welcome back to Bodnars, Bids and Banter. We're all back here talking about art.
Woo!
Hey, no, but there is great art in this upcoming sale. So besides the art that has all the COAs, then we get into some old master paintings that are in the sale. I think those are really nice. And then on the back half, we're back to Brooklyn. You remember Brooklyn. You can't forget it.
Never forget it.
Yeah,
How could you?
Seared into my memory.
So Brooklyn, besides all the great antiques and stuff that we took from there, she had at least 800 pieces of art.
Oh, God, easily.
I think 800 pieces of art.
Stacks and stacks. So
Hiding
like
in the
2 rooms
closets.
just filled with art.
Yes, so that's on the back half. Plus, I forgot, we also put bronzes and marble statues and decorative items on the back end of that sale too.
Yum,
sure
yum,
did.
yum, yum.
Yeah, no, which is actually, that stuff is actually really cool. But even her art's pretty cool. But her art is really serigraph prints for the most part, but they're beautiful. They all have that nice Victorian look and nude women and
They're
leopards.
all like that Victorian revival, mid-century,
Yeah.
50s, 60s, 70s, very ornate, but
They make you
in
want
that
to
old style.
They make you want to go back and eat grapes while you're laying there in your underwear.
Okay.
That rolling
George
look.
goes, but all right.
Well, I would like to surround myself with that type of
grapes.
stuff.
With grapes
Grapes and half
and
naked
nude women.
Yeah.
What's going on over here?
Well, I'm going to catch 22 on that
I was going to
statement.
say, easy, sir. You have to stay here. They get to leave.
Yes. I did not want to be in that room with nude women. No, I was thinking more of nude cats and dogs and animals.
So what? That doesn't
that doesn't make it any better.
It doesn't? Okay. I have nothing else to say about that. But there's great paintings such as that in this upcoming sale as well. And then we get into the bronzes and stuff. And speaking of her stuff, February 13th was the last second auction that we had. You missed the first one and the second one. But there was one of the greatest things that came out of there. We out of her front windows. You remember her front windows, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which piece?
So in the front window, she had a 2 women's heads on either side.
I know. Oh my
and
God.
it
I know
had like a
exactly
lyre.
the one.
It had like a white. It was like a portrait vase. Basically, it was like this.
Yes, it was like a large urn.
Yes, easy, sir. We're back into the seriousness of the podcast. But at any rate, it was one of their pieces in her window. There was no markings on it whatsoever. Now that I think back at it, because I estimated at 1 to 300 because the first sale was kind of rough in certain aspects. So I kind of tempered down my estimates for sale too, and I estimated at 1 to 300, and it brought $2,800. I think it was $2,800.
Wow.
And so now I look back at it, I think it was probably Sevs. Because I put in the description most likely German, so it was either probably Sevs or Meissen, one or the other. But yeah, it brought $2,800.
It was impeccably decorated.
It was one of her
she
pieces
has some
that took
stunning
off.
pieces.
Yeah, she really does.
She did. It was a nice smattering on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that went overseas, right? That came in a wire transfer. I think it went to Canada or something, or overseas in England or something. I don't remember. But
in my mind, I just see it in like some great country house or like a beautiful city townhouse.
Right. No, but that did really well. Her sterling did really good. You know, the sterling silver we sold in that sale, which this is a shame, but it brought over melt. But not much over melt because people are speculating with the way the economy is right now. Gold and
nice
silver.
Pieces of that Russian enamel ware.
Oh yes, that was in sale number 1, and that actually did good. One guy,
The eggs, right?
Yeah, the eggs. One guy bought most of them, and he was an old customer of ours. That guy. So years ago, we had an absolutely beautiful, stunning wall cabinet. I'll never forget. I went to this guy's house, and it was hanging on the wall. And I said, "Oh, what's up with that?" And he was like, "Oh, well, that's going to another auction company. It was going up to Wright's, I think, up in Chicago." And I was like, "Oh, that's really nice." And he's like, "Yeah, no, it's going to bring $150,000." I said, "Oh, well, it must be really nice," you know. So I said, "Okay, whatever." I said, "Well, if it doesn't work out, give us a call, this and that." So apparently, I think he set it up there. Did it go in the auction? Didn't meet reserve, or I don't think it. I can't remember. I think it didn't meet the reserve, or they started jerking them around because originally it was supposed to be one commission versus a different commission. But anyway, it was a Paul Evans sculpted mid-century modern piece of furniture. So, and it hung on the wall, and it was sculpted in these beautiful different colors and everything else. It was absolutely gorgeous, and we ended up selling it for $89,000.
Are we talking about the Paul Evans?
Yeah, the Paul Evans piece. Yes, I don't even know how I got to Paul Evans, but
I don't know how you
distracted as
did
a
either.
cat.
I don't know. But the Paul Evans piece, it brought $89,000.
Yeah.
Because the guy who bought that piece bought all the enamel eggs.
Yes.
That's how I got on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I haven't seen him since he bought that because we were talking about.
He was like a brutalist sculpture front.
Yes.
Cabinet, but it was like a floating. It would, and this thing was so
nice.
heavy. Like you really
It
had
was
to
beautiful.
have
It was a beautiful
A
piece.
team.
but like I can't imagine mounting that to the wall. Like you have to have some serious studs for that thing.
And he was going to send it to Dubai. That's where it was going.
Yeah.
He was going to send him and 5 people got into were buying it together. And then I asked him what ended up happening to it. It didn't go to Dubai. He ended up flipping it to somebody else, and they made $10,000 or something like that. But there was like 5 guys that were all working together to not working together to keep it priced down, but working together to buy it and resell. Because there again, that's another piece where if you researched it, and that's kind of fits in with the art because it wasn't just a piece of furniture; it was a work of art, is what it was.
It really was.
Because Paul Evans, all his furniture is sculpted pieces of furniture, and you went online. Some pieces very similar, selling 125, 150, 175, 200,000. It was in that price range. So I thought we did really good with it. 89,000. It actually, and it sold. It's see you later. Got the money.
Trying to give
Took
me a
about
heart attack.
3 months to get the money, but we got the money. Right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it took a while.
It took a while to get that money. They were not prepared to pay.
They were not prepared to pay for it. He wanted to pay $10,000 and take the slate, and I was like, "Sweetheart,
we ain't giving you nothing.
You're not taking like a splinter off of this thing until it's paid for."
Exactly. But yeah, so that's but where I was going with that is the sterling did really good, but it's a shame because sterling these days is really being melted. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's bringing scrap, but it used to be people would embrace it, and it was like a sculpture and beautiful. And when you looked at flatware and tableware and bowls, and now people buy it and they melt it.
I think it's one of those things that's also variable, though. I mean, as I think that's also reflective of the economy. You
Yeah.
know, I think, as times get, more lean, that of course is going to, up melting. But I think, like with anything in the auction or collectible world, in the end, it is going to make, those good pieces more scarce. And that is going to, once again, drive the market. So I think that's, an interesting thing to think about. Melt may be big now, but then, who knows? We'll have somebody buying a ton of sterling, holding on to it, not sending it to melt for some reason. And then
I agree.
There could be a Tiffany piece. There could be, excellent English pieces.
You know what's crazy though? I agree with that to an extent, but I remember 10 years ago, there was a jeweler here in East Brunswick I dealt with a lot, and I convinced him to hold back all his Tiffany and all that stuff and give it to us to sell, and it was bringing 6 times melt, 10 times melt because it was Tiffany and George Jensen and stuff. But lately, I just feel it's not. They don't even care anymore.
It's not that they don't care. It's that.
Demand.
The electric bill is $1,000 a month.
Oh yeah, this is true.
Eggs cost $75 a piece.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I think you have a lot of that going on right now, and people are hanging on to their money because they don't know what's about to happen.
I guess
not getting
They're not
political.
as free
It's just
with the buying.
It's the times we're in, and that will shift again. But I agree with Danny. Those pieces that get melted down are now going to be worth 10 times more. It's like you said I want to say like 10 years ago when people started painting everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Painting everything. And Joe said at some point mahogany furniture is going to be worth a fortune. Well, we're coming back around to that
It's original
right now.
mahogany from the 40s.
We're coming back around to that now because now people are taking this painted furniture and painted things and everything and even homes and restoring them back to original.
Right.
So yeah, everything. There's a season for everything.
Yeah.
I guess there's a season for everything. I don't know. The sterling market's just, but the sterling did okay in that sale. It wasn't bad, and it was an up and down. It was an up and down sale. The best part about that sale, well, I talk about highs and lows. All right, so we had jewelry in that auction.
Yeah,
and I got off a necklace
Burmese
for
ruby and diamond necklace.
Yeah, we had it. We had it off for $17,000, and the guy didn't pay his bill.
He didn't pay.
Unbelievable.
He did pay.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
He did pay with a credit card, and I said no.
Yeah, because we don't take credit
I don't
cards
take
for that.
credit cards.
Yeah,
it's
no.
wire transfer only. So I refunded him the money, contacted him because he said, "Oh, I paid with a credit card. What do we do now?" I said, "You're going to wire me the money," and I never heard back from him, which just tells me, thank God, because I avoided that scam.
Do we still have it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have it.
I want to
yeah.
see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was what a bummer,
Avoided-
man. It was one of those bummers because it was like
It was the icing on the cake, man.
Yeah, no. So all the jewelry that day, because it was the day before Valentine's Day, did really, really good.
Okay.
We had another necklace bring $10,000, another couple things bringing $2,000, $4,000, $6,000, but we got the $17,000 one,
yeah.
man, and it defunct. I was so mad.
That one necklace, I think it was like with sapphires. And
Yeah.
things. Kind of like that
Colored
that
one?
scattered.
Yeah.
One that we
Remember
were
that
all
one?
fiending over.
Oh, we were all like, I want to try it
Oh,
on.
it's beautiful.
It's my turn to try it on.
It's gorgeous.
Oh,
I was like, I
remember
need to
that
hold
one?
it outside in the sunlight.
That was one of those like, can I just borrow it for a little bit? Like,
So I know you just got done with your classes over at GIA.
Yes.
And so did you get to handle things like that when you were in the classes?
No, just because.
See, we actually sold all the stuff he handles. No, I'm sorry.
So we did get to handle diamonds.
Right.
We got to handle colored diamonds. We also got to handle fancy cut diamonds.
Okay.
But we're working. The majority of what you were really working with in the diamond program is round brilliant cuts.
okay.
And then it was a humbling experience to say the least.
Right.
I realized that early on because you're really going into the anatomy of diamonds, their form, their creation, the full science behind them, the full
Right.
science behind the entire mining industry.
Right.
Just every possible, for lack of a better term, facet of the diamond industry.
Facet.
It was very interesting.
What was the largest size diamond you held while you were in class?
I mean, we could work with up to like 2 carats, and
you didn't
then,
get no 10-carat fucker?
No, well, keep in mind a 10-carat diamond, especially, if it's whether it's like a mid-grade or lower grade, it's still going to be a valuable diamond.
Right.
Well, yeah, I know.
These are teaching stones, so
Yeah.
they're going to get scratched. They're going to get dirty. You know, they may get lost. So if that's the
They
case,
might end
then-
up in auction.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you do end up, you know, when you're working with the stones with your tweezers, it's very easy and common to pop a stone,
Right?
Because they'll just slip right out, and
Yeah.
given the conical shape of most round brilliants, once they land, just on like a physics level, they love to bounce around.
Right.
You could pop a stone, and it could be on the complete other side of the room.
Yep.
So you got to play with 2-carat stones.
Yeah, I got to play with a lot of diamonds. It was very cool.
Did you get to play with other ones too, like Alexandrites and amethyst and things like that?
That would have been for the colored stones program.
that's
Okay, it's a whole
so
different
that would be
thing.
a separate one. There are a total of 120 fine colored gemstones that you would learn. You know, and of course, imagine each stone has its own inclusions, its own formation, its own crystal structure, its own reasons for being that color.
I do not have
Every
the brain
aspect.
space
So
for that.
imagine, there's 120 of those. So you're learning every bit of information about all of those 120 stones.
Yeah.
And then the final for that class is you have to perfectly grade 20 colored stones, as well as a I think like a 100 or 200 question, multiple choice test as well.
Grief.
My goodness.
Unfortunately, I did try my hardest at
Right.
GIA, but unfortunately, I did end up getting dismissed.
Right.
But I'm not letting it get me down. I made it 4 weeks in the program.
I was gonna say, but there's nothing wrong with that. I'm proud
and
of
to
you,
give
100%.
Yeah, thank you. And to give just like the audience an idea, GIA, since they really created the industry of grading colored stones and diamonds, or at least set the industry standard in the past, it's really the top tier of gemological education. So of course with that comes a very fast pace, extremely high academic attendance and behavioral expectations.
Right. It's like the Navy SEALs.
Yes,
Which it is.
It's very not like, of course, like it's not like only few the proud, but like in the terms of you'll have a large class and there's not uncommon for you to lose a decent amount. They're small classes, let's say for the diamond course, we had about 20 people. In the first 2 days, 2 people dropped.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, through other means, people end up getting dismissed. It's very easy to get dismissed from GIA. Long story short, as you well know, I have pretty severe ADHD. Don't have medical insurance, so I'm not medicated. So raw dogging it. And I hadn't been to school in, I would say, 15 to 20 years. So it was a big transition.
I haven't been to school in
waking
30
up at 5,
years.
Yeah, waking up at 5 a.m., getting on the train, getting there.
Not for me.
But I've never been a good test taker. I'm very
Right.
bright, I'm very knowledgeable. But all of my knowledge, I think, I came quickly, made me realize that all my knowledge is in mounted jewelry. So it really wasn't helpful in this course at all.
Right.
But unfortunately, I didn't do too well on my first 2 tests.
Right.
So that's a large part of my grade. So I ended up getting put on academic probation, which is a 2-week time frame.
Right.
And part of the stipulation of academic probation is that you need to raise your grade to above a 75, which I was able to do. I was able to raise my grade to about an 85, somewhere right around there. So I'm proud of myself that I was able to get that, that educational.
Right. But it doesn't matter. Just the hands-on of being a part of that and saying that I went in there and did that.
Yeah.
You learn so much just in those 4 weeks, even though you might not have that certification at this moment. It's a stepping ground to the next thing.
It's definitely
and
something
it
I
gives
wanna
you
do
more
again.
knowledge on what you're doing right now. I mean, I know for myself when I took classes at NYU and you would do rugs 101 and I had furniture 101 where you went to the Met and you played with the antiques in the well, you couldn't touch it. I wish you could touch it, but I used got to touch the diamond. I couldn't even touch the period furniture where you can really feel it and have a good understanding of what a New York City piece is to a Philadelphia piece is and the different ways that it's put together and everything else. Because there is a lot.
You need
of
to have that task.
Yeah, you need to have that. That's where
that's where the learning really is.
that's where you could really learn a lot at working at an auction or going or just attending auctions. And a lot of my research these days really it's just going online and looking through completed auctions and what other people's auctions are, and really having a clear understanding of where things are selling. And really, that's where I get most of my knowledge from, versus going to a school or anything like that. It's working in the real world of the auctions. That's where the real knowledge is.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's how I fell into the auction industry. You know,
Right.
my knowledge started as a personal passion on certain areas, and then it kind of evolved, and it got to a point of where I became knowledgeable enough that I was able to get hired for that knowledge.
Right.
And so that's what I really, held on to. And it's like, I may have, not have passed this round. And it came down to technicals. I just didn't. They have an impossibly high stone count for diamonds that you need to evaluate. So
Right.
it really came down to that. So it could have been a
Well,
lot worse.
stones,
I told-
right?
I
It
told-
was like, it was close to 10, like 10 to 8.
I told him to give you 10 so you would fail and come back to me.
Yeah, but it was cool. I'm still grateful for the experience.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't you shouldn't be ashamed of any of that. I think it's a fantastic thing, and I can't wait to step you up to the next one.
And
So
it made me definitely more confident. I'm currently cataloging a new jewelry auction.
yes, you are absolutely.
For the future, I don't know when, if you,
July, hopefully.
please feel free to check out that catalog.
Yes.
Yep, and you will see some of my work.
No, I think that's great. I'm glad that you came back and you didn't get.
Happy to be back.
I'm
Thank you
glad
for
you
taking
didn't.
me.
I'm glad you didn't move to New York City and stay up there and
Who could afford it? Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the truth? So our Beyond the Gavel segment today, I just wanted to talk about something that I bought many years ago. This is back at the Ukrainian Center. I actually went to a person's house, and I'll never forget, I went around and I was looking at different things they had, and I bought this little totem pole. It was like this. It was in a pile of stuff or whatever. I paid like $20 for it. I didn't know. I looked at it. I thought, oh, it's nice or whatever. But it was about this big. It was a totem pole. It was made out of some kind of stone. It was probably Eskimo of some sort, or I think Alaskan or something of that nature. So anyway, I thought it was like a tourist thing. I put it in the auction. I had it towards the end of the auction or what have you. And I'll never forget, during preview, somebody took it and they put it down and it broke. And it broke like a piece off, right? A piece about broken off. And I was like, man,
Happened
what?
all the time.
It did happen all the time back at the building. People used to break stuff all the time. So anyway, well, long story short, we're in hour 13. Hour 13, and we're selling, and it comes up. And it starts at $10, and now it's at $200. Now it's at $500. Now it's at $1,000. Now it's at $1,500. Now it's at $2,200, and it brings like $2,600. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Yeah, and it was broken. I couldn't believe it. It was broken. And so the guy buys it, and I ask him, and he goes, no, he had one once before. It was like an 1800s totem pole from Eskimo, from the Alaskan stuff. So it was like my
That's
big
super
score.
cool.
Yeah, no, it was like a big score. And then I'm thinking, like, what the hell would it have brought if it wasn't broken? You know what I'm saying? My God. But that was my Beyond the Gavel, and I'll never forget. I dismissed the thing, and that was one of the beautiful things about an auction. You never know what it's going to sell for.
I think that's like the central theme of this little segment.
Yeah.
You know what
Yes.
I mean? It's like you never know what you're going to
Never
find.
know.
And you never know what's out there.
You never know what you're going to find.
That's why you got to
never
stay
know.
tuned.
Yeah,
Happy
exactly.
hunting, yes.
Exactly. So if you have a story like that, you have an auction find, something you made a ton of money on, maybe something you lost a ton of money on. I'll tell you that story next episode. However, make sure you reach out to us and let us know about it at
Bodnars Bids and Banter podcast at gmail.com.
Yes, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, an hour is up. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Exactly. Unbelievable. A lot of great information out there, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check out our upcoming auction next week at bodnarsauction.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and all the different platforms that we have our podcast on, right?
All the things.
All those things. Great things joining us. Once again, I'm Joe Bodnar.
Maureen.
Danny,
Tracy.
All right. Have a great and wonderful day. Goodbye.
take care, guys.
Thanks for watching Bodnar's Bid and Banter. Remember, we're here every other week with new episodes, new stories, and wonderful, wonderful times. Make sure you check us out, bodnarsauction.com, YouTube, Facebook, all the different platforms where you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast now. Now, once again, thanks and have a wonderful day.